Gentlemen, I want to welcome you back to another episode of the Men of Bronze podcast. If this is your first time joining us for an episode, I want to welcome you and thank you so much for joining us. I'm so happy to have you here. I hope you gained something of value in this conversation. Our goal here at Men of Bronze is to provide conversations for men to be able to improve themselves in all facets of life. So my goal is really to interview successful, hardworking, and motivational men that can provide you with these topics, with these tools to become a better man in your everyday life. If you're a return listener, I want to thank you so much for your continued support. The reason why I do these podcasts are for guys like you who come back week after week and want to really gain some solid information from great conversations with great men. My guest today is Matt Williams. Matt Williams is in the Australian Army and was diagnosed with terminal brain cancer at the age of 22 while serving. He has done multiple tours overseas in Iraq. He's seen some crazy things and has some awesome stories. We talk about everything from carnivore and keto diet to kangaroos to the Australian forest fires to gun rights to looking death directly in the face every day, and how he's reminded every 3 months when he does get his checkups that death is imminent. He just doesn't know when. The conversation is incredible. Matt is extremely motivational and inspirational. He's an awesome guy, down to earth, and truly has a heart of gold. It was an awesome conversation talking with Matt. I really enjoyed my time. I hope you guys gain as much as I did from this conversation because I truly am inspired about what we talked about. Before we jump into the episode, I want to invite you guys to review the podcast, subscribe, whether that's on YouTube or on your preferred podcast app. Share the podcast with your friends, guys, if you can. The spreading the message here, it's all I ask. There's no ads on this show or anything at this point, but really just sharing it with the guys in your life is one of the biggest things that you can do for me. So subscribe to the podcast, review, and share it. But most of all, guys, enjoy the conversation. This one is an awesome one. I had an absolute blast talking with Matt. So check him out at willy.beatingcancer on Instagram. And he also has a YouTube channel. You can find it pretty easily. So enjoy the conversation, guys. All of the links will be in the show notes and in the description and on the website as well, menofbronze.ca. You can find the blog post for this episode, and any links associated with Matt will be on there. So, guys, enjoy the episode, and I really hope you gain what I gain from this. Here's Matt Williams.
Yeah, thanks for coming on with me, man. I appreciate it.
No, man, I really appreciate it. It's I've been that bloody busy recently. That's why I've been shit replying and emails and everything. I had some stuff happen with our Prime Minister here, who's like the equivalent to a president, I guess.
Yeah, well, that's what we have as well. I'm in Canada, so.
Oh, you're Canada, yeah. Yeah, we won't talk about yours, but yeah. Since then, man, I've just been flat out with just social stuff. So I've been like, fuck.
Yeah.
But, no, I'm glad to be
in. Good. Your prime minister, I've heard not the greatest things about that guy.
I don't know, man. It's a funny one. Like, yeah, it's very you hear the loud minority, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess the silent majority. Well, he won by a landslide, and even now when they do like the polls to see, he still has like a massive acceptance rate.
Okay.
It's a pretty hard thing, man. Like, he copped a lot of shit over the bushfires. And it's like, what do you expect someone to do? Like, It's a natural disaster. Australia's fucking massive. Like, you know, and you'll hear terms thrown out like it's burnt the size of Britain. And like, bro, we have farms the size of Britain. Like,
yeah, right.
What are you going to do? Like, at the end of the day, Australia's got 24 million people, and it's I think the fourth biggest land mass in the world or something. Like, what do you really expect us to do against a massive bushfire?
And it's hot as shit.
It's like, hot as shit, yeah.
Like, it's just, everything's dry. It's going to burn.
Yep.
Yeah, I
like,
saw...
you can't stop.
I saw a bunch of videos of him, like, you know, he went down to visit some people, and they're, like, throwing stuff at him. And, I mean, but the people doing it are like, you guys live in, like, a trailer. Like, you're not society's most upstanding people here. Like, do you even know what's going on? Do you even understand his job?
Yeah, exactly. But it's like, well, the big one, man, is all fire service, particularly fire service, is state funded. It's not federal.
Oh, interesting.
So he actually had nothing to do with it. He's federal. Like, of course, federal funding rolls into the states, but the state fire service of each state, they're the ones that deploy the firefighters into the area and do the funding and do the backburning in the cooler months and everything. So to actually have it go up the Prime Minister is a bit like, well, no, like if this was the Defence Force, then yes, because it's a national federal thing. But this is like getting arrested by a cop down the street and then having to go up the Prime Minister about it, because it's like, well, I have nothing to do with the state police force.
Yeah, like, sorry, guys. Doing my best here.
We had fire fronts 200 kilometres wide.
Wow.
And you can sort of, I served as a volunteer firefighter back in the day, and you can sort of steer it, but you're not going to do anything. It's burning that hot, your water will even just evaporate before getting to it.
Yeah.
There's no point. And the embers are pushing that far in front of the fire. The embers can push tens of kilometres away, so 40 k's away, where you can't even see the fire. You've got an ember in a bit of dry wood at your house, and the house is on fire. So it's, man, to be honest, it's just one of those natural disasters. It's Australia. Like, if you live in the bush here, it's going to burn. To the point now where it's illegal to not have some insurances in some areas. Like, they're like, if you live here, you need insurance against bushfire, because in the next 5 to 10 years, you will lose your house.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
It's going to happen. It's like living in whatever states in America have tornadoes.
Yeah, or by the ocean or something.
You can't build a house. Yeah, exactly. Like, what I think a lot of it, man, is what's happening a lot now, and we're seeing a lot more deaths, is people are moving out of the cities. In Australia, we used to have big populations in the cities, and then the only people who lived in the outback were farmers, with the equipment to make their own fire breaks.
Right.
And I guess the local knowledge of being there for, they've been there for generations.
Yeah.
These are true station farmers, with, 200,000 acres or more, where, they've sort of got that knowledge of, okay, we're leaving and we're heading to the coast or whatever. Now you've got people buying 1 acre, half acre properties in the outback, and have never lived somewhere where there's that. And you're like, well, you don't actually know. It'd be like if I moved, somewhere where they had, tornadoes, I wouldn't know what to do.
Also, if you have these farmers that have, hundreds and hundreds of acres of land, if 1 acre burns, it's like, oh man, that, too bad. Yeah. But when you have a 1 acre lot with your house on it and all your belongings, and that burns, well, that's your whole life, which is tragic. But yeah, it seems like everyone needs someone to blame. And I think you nailed it. I mean, how often do we hear this minority of people? And I mean, I don't know exactly where you are politically, but it seems like it's usually on the left side of politics. That's, that minority is very loud, and they come across heavy as if they speak for the majority of people. And it's just not true.
It's 100% just you're the loud minority, but the silent majority actually backed the PM and what happened and all that. That was when I had a big online sort of to and fro with. There's a very, very famous social media celebrity, Celeste Barber. Now, what happened with these bushfires was, and I was still serving in the army, was they wanted the army to deploy to help in the bushfires, whether it be, we can't fight fires, we're not firefighters. And that was the biggest thing is, no, these guys, they're not expendable, they're not firefighters. It's fucking dangerous to put them anywhere near a fire. But they can help with loading water, or we have helicopters and we have this and we have that.
Yeah.
The problem was, and this is where the big thing came through, the Prime Minister offered the states, okay, you can have 9,000 soldiers tomorrow if you want them. The state actually turned them back. And then everyone was going, where's the army? Where's the army? And it's like, hang on, no, your state actually pushed it back. Your left-leaning state pushed back the army coming in because they didn't want them here. And then she put up a video saying we pay all this tax and the army's not here and they're not helping. And me, I was fucking triggered as fuck. I was like blue hair, fucking big eyes triggered. Like, no, fuck you. Like, every single time you've needed the army, you wouldn't even know we've got boys, 400 lads in Afghan right now, hundreds in Iraq,
and they
getting
don't care.
bombed, all this shit. You wouldn't care. But as soon as your house gets burnt down and they weren't there shooting at the fucking fire or whatever you expect them to do, you crack the fucking shits and you act like you own the Defence Force because you pay tax.
Right.
And it's like, no, you fucking don't. No, you don't. The average Australian pays $1,000 a year of their tax goes towards the Defence Force.
Which is nothing.
Which is nothing. And
nothing.
We always say for $1,000 a year, you get 80 fucking F-35 Joint Strike Fighters, fucking 10 $6 billion submarines each, 15,000 infantry guys running around shooting shit. You get a pretty fucking good deal. Like, fucking, Jesus, $1,000.
Can we borrow some of those guys?
Yeah, go for it.
Oh my goodness, man. I wish I could give my prime minister's head a shake.
Oh, mate. I think everyone thinks that wishes they could give your prime minister's head a shake.
Well, except for the losers that voted him in here.
I can't believe, man, like, I don't keep up with Canadian politics, but that guy, man, I've seen some stuff of him like doing like he was in like almost like an auditorium talking to some people, and I'm like, you sound fucking crazy, bro. Like, what the fuck? Like, how is this a thing?
Dude. He's a middle school teacher with a drama degree.
Yeah.
Like, everyone's complaining about Trump. They say, oh, our country's run by this moron. It's like, okay, you're being run by a multi-billionaire business mogul. I've got a failed middle school teacher with a drama degree running my country who's a complete moron.
Oh, he is.
Like, it's just crazy. When they call him Mr. Dress Up, it's not a joke. Like, he offended the people of India when he took his family there, and he dressed in the most traditional Indian outfit possible. And all the people in India are like, we don't dress like that, dude.
Yeah.
Like, that's not a thing. We don't dress like that.
It's funny that it'd be like if you came to Australia, the whole, put a shrimp on the barbie. I've never seen a shrimp cooked on the barbie. We don't even call them shrimps. We call them fucking prawns. It'd be like if I came over and I got in a fucking red Mounties outfit and was like, fucking, I'm here with my Remington. You'd be like, what the fuck is this cunt doing?
I come over to Australia and I'm holding my baby because I don't want it to get eaten by a dingo or something.
That said, not dingoes. Dingoes won't do shit, but we do have fucking all the dangerous animals here. That's the best bit about traveling is I'm like, anywhere I travel is safer than fucking here. Like,
yeah, no doubt. I've actually had, I've had two Australians live with me before. When I was in high school, we had an Australian come here to play hockey for a bit. So he lived with us. And then my stepsister fell in love with a freaking Aussie. So he came over for a little bit and then he stole her away, which is fine. But, no, he's a good dude. So she lives in Australia now as well, actually. So unfortunately, I couldn't join for the wedding because I just couldn't afford a trip to Australia. But great country.
It's a fucking long way from anywhere.
Yeah, and we've got two little kids. We have got two toddlers, so it wasn't an option. But anyway, our the whole politics here in Canada, it's crazy. People like to deny it, but Trudeau actually was voted in over marijuana policy, which in my opinion is just crazy. Like, regardless if you want weed legalized, that's fine, and I don't care. But to vote in your prime minister over a single topic as smoking weed is just crazy. And that's exactly what happened was.
Yeah, we had similar here, man, with the gay marriage vote. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't give a fuck whether, you can gays and get married or not. How is that the biggest thing you're taking to an election? Like, how is that your deciding point on who you vote for? Like, I don't care either way, but I'm like, that's your decision? Like, something that affects the whatever percent, but it's less percent than I'd say. Oh my god! Like, they'll say 30%. I'm like, no. Like, I know fucking hundreds of people. I know a few gay guys who are fucking great mates of mine. But I'm like, surely we've got bigger fucking issues than this. Like, what about this person's like nuclear policy on North Korea?
Yes.
No one gives a fuck. We want to know whether marijuana is legal or, everyone's smoking anyway, but like, fuck. Oh,
the marijuana thing here is a shit show anyway. The buying it legally is a total hassle. There's a shortage of supply, so everyone buys it from their dealers anyway. So everyone's still illegally buying it. Like it's just crazy. And they've made a ban on, if you make like edibles and stuff, it can't have any flavor or it can't be in the shape of a gummy bear and all that kind of stuff. Well, that's what people want. So there's a massive industry of making gummy bears and all this kind of stuff under the table, and people just buy those. So it's
fucking ridiculous.
You've made it legal, but nothing's changed except I can carry around a gram in my pocket and not be nervous, which I wasn't nervous before anyway.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's total lunacy, and it's real sad to see. But one thing it shows is like how privileged we are. And I hate the word saying, check your privilege, all that kind of stuff. But I mean, how privileged are we to live in such a comfortable country where that's our major concern? We're not.
Look at this COVID-19 crisis. Like,
oh my goodness,
what the fuck? Like, we all cracked the shits because there wasn't toilet paper on the shelf, or we couldn't get our favorite brand, fucking noodles or something. It's like, fucking hell. Try going to a communist country or whatever, and they don't. The shops are always empty. Like,
or a socialist country, which is
Look at the height of the pandemic. Somewhere like Australia is still way better than how the majority of people in the world live. Anyway, like, and one of the big ones, man, if you earn more in Australia than $30,000 a year, or at least by our Australian dollar, you're in like the top fucking 5% in the world. Our welfare is more than that. Like, and people complained because a lot of people, and it's terrible, people have lost their jobs over this COVID-19.
Oh, for sure.
Our welfare got over doubled. So people are getting $1,500 a fortnight because they've lost their jobs. That's the job, what do they call it? The job seeker or something. Yeah, and I'm like, fuck, we can't really complain. How many other countries can afford $1,500 a fortnight given to you?
Yeah.
To stay home. Like, fuck me, stop complaining.
Yeah, you guys
and if you earn below that, you get bumped up to it.
You're doing pretty well for a massive island that was that started off with a bunch of prisoners.
Bunch of criminals, yeah. That's probably why we're doing well. Yeah. We don't care for running around fucking hooligan fucking criminals. That's the reason we're fucking infamous in like World War One and Two. Because I think it wasn't that we had like the strongest army. The dude just didn't give a fuck.
Just a bunch of savages.
Yeah.
I love it.
They all hated the British Empire too. And we were still we were AIF still, so we were the Imperial Force still under the Brits. So they're like, nah, fuck these blokes. Like, we're doing this shit. Like, fuck them.
Oh man, well, I'm glad I hit record as soon as you popped in here because we just fired right into this conversation.
Oh, that's the best way to do it.
Which is great. So I'm happy I pressed record. But let's just talk a little bit about you first because we haven't even introduced you yet. So
that's right.
You are Matt Williams. You were a corporal. You're not in the Army anymore because of
still serving, still corporal, section commander. Yep.
So you're an Army Corporal with the Australian Army at 22 on your 22nd birthday. Is that correct?
Yeah.
You were diagnosed with terminal brain tumor.
Mm.
That must have been a shit day.
It was until this is the dark humor of, I don't know whether it's Aussies or defense members, but like say I was diagnosed at 1300. That night I go home and the boys have organised a surprise birthday party for me and a big banner and them calling it Willy's death party. And I'm like, you fucking pricks. I've known about 4 hours. Like I've barely walked in the fucking door. I've like come home from the doctors. Surprise. I'm like tears and shit. And it's like, this is your death party. I'm like, you fucking cunts. And I think from there it was over. Like the trauma of diagnosis was done. It's like, let's get on the piss.
Yeah, but that's kind of what you need though, right? You need that support from your bros, right? Like it would have been a way worse day if you got there and there was like 3 of your buddies there and they're all crying, hugging your mom
Oh yeah.
So
I hate that shit.
Way better situation to come home to is your guys at least making a joke out of it. And that's kind of the mantra that you kind of kept for the rest of your life, right? Is you're going to live your best life. You're going to do what you can and just enjoy yourself. And, you're doing a great thing. You're raising a bunch of money. I saw a video of like almost a year ago and you said you were at $60,000 or something already. What are you at now for raising?
I couldn't tell you an exact number, but it's 90 to 100,000.
Oh man, that's incredible. Like
straight into a charity.
What a difference that you've made, obviously, there. So you're making lemonade out of the crappiest lemons possible. So that's good to see.
Yeah, no, it's good shit. It's given me something to do as well.
Yeah, for sure. Something to focus on, right? And give you a bit of a mission.
Yeah.
Do you have any role? Do you have any role with the Army still, or what are you currently doing with them?
Yeah. So anyone who sort of knows anything about defense, I guess, I'm in the infantry, the only real arm of the Army.
Okay.
Of any army in the world is the infantry. Marines wish they were Army, from any army. But any country, stuff them. I'll take the piss out of them all day. I've served with that many British Royal Marine Commandos. I feel like now I've got the right to take the piss. Plus, I was attached to the American Marines for 6 weeks or something at a time, so I fucking take the piss there too. But yeah, and I'm an infantry section commander. So basically, the commander on the ground of the boys. Doing my thing. I was a crew commander when I was in Afghanistan of PMV vehicles. So they're like, I'm trying to think what would be more relatable. They're called a Bushmaster, but they look like an American MRAP. Ours kicked their ass by times fucking 50. But yeah, basically a crew commander of those, up to 20 guys, and convoys, armored convoys through Kabul. One of the big reasons I say we kicked the Americans' ass was we got a mission once to move General Mattis, Mad Dog Mattis, and he came in the Australian convoy over the American convoy. So we're like, well, we know where he fucking stands. He's with the boys.
Yeah. He's made his choice.
Yeah, he even got to listen to. We had a good. I don't know where it came from, but a good luck charm of if you left the base, you had to listen to a Meatloaf song. So it was sort of like, it wasn't in my particular vehicle, but it would have been like hey sir, sorry about this, but just got to play like Paradise by the Dashboard Light and fucking leave. It's good luck.
Sorry.
Yeah, literally. No one can't sing along to that shit though.
How much time did you spend in Afghanistan?
It was just shy of 9 months. I say 8.5, but it was like 6-7 days short of 9.
Okay.
It was meant to be 3 months. But we ended up colluding with a couple of other Australian deployments. So we had to shift. So we didn't, the guys in Iraq were doing a handover takeover at the same time we were going to hand over and take over. And it was sort of like, well, we don't want our whole fucking defense force all handing over at the same time. So they pushed us out a couple of months just to hand over to the next unit coming in.
Okay.
And yes, so yeah, it was 8.5, almost 9.
What was it like being in Afghanistan? I never served in the military or anything like that. So what kind of atmosphere is it like in Afghanistan? And, what kind of experience did you guys have there? Did you have personally?
Yeah, well, a lot of guys will have very different experiences to me. I came in the Afghan war very late. I was 2017. That's pretty late in the Afghan war.
Yeah.
In the hooligan shit over there. But I was serving in Kabul, so the Afghan capital. Now I'm not exactly sure on the numbers, but I think it's about 6 or 7 million people live in Kabul. So it's a major city, but it's just slum. It's beautiful countryside, but the city's a fucking death shithole. Everything smells like shit. There's no supermarkets, there's no whatever, but there's the biggest one I'll say about my first sort of taking ins, and it happened all throughout my tour because we did a lot of mobility ops, were signs of better times, I put it. So you'll be driving down a dirt road that's a highway, like the main road's a dirt footpath. And then you'll see in the distance a 10-lane overpass that would look like something in LA.
Crazy.
Shot to shit and bullets at both. Well, dirt up to one side, dirt up the other side. And it's like, fuck, you almost got on your feet here. It must have been from the 60s or 70s. And then you'll be driving down, somewhere, and you'll see a massive hotel that looks from a distance, 5-star hotel. And you get close and it's all shot to shit, but it looks exactly like, your new hotel you'd see on the beach somewhere.
Wow.
We had one down near Lake Karga, I think it was called. If there's any guys who are in Afghan now, they'd know the area. The big 5-star hotel, bloody Ferris wheel out the front, roller coaster, all desolate now. But it's like this would have looked like fucking Santa Monica Beach. And now it's just all gone to shit. Yeah, so signs of better times or signs of getting there. Same as we went to I don't know why the fuck we went there, but we went to where the Russian Mujahideen, whatever the fuck they were, had their last stand, where they basically fell back through Afghan and then were slaughtered. Where we went in the big building, it's got a big gold roof dome on it, this massive mansion. And there were bullet holes that say 3 feet high, all these bullet holes in the wall where they've nailed guys down and killed them, executed. So the remaining Russian soldiers. And that was I'm not spiritual or religious or any of that shit, but I tell you, fucking ghosts. In that building, I'm like, nah, this is fucking spooky. Let's leave this shit. I don't want to be where, and I think it was 700 dudes executed there.
Oh my goodness.
And I'm like,
it's crazy.
Not my place to be.
Right. Yeah. Make the hair on your neck stand up a little bit.
Yeah, fucking oath. If one of the doors slammed behind me, I would have been shooting shit.
Yeah, it's crazy, these countries, right? And this is, again, kind of what we talked about earlier, right? Our biggest issue in our country is gay marriage and marijuana. And it's we have it so easy. We have no idea. And I'm not sure if you've heard that saying before, along the lines of strong men make good times times make weak men make hard times, and then hard times make strong men. We're certainly in the good times makes weak men era, and it's just
and we're lucky we can be there.
It's crazy, and we live in a society where you don't even have to be a man if you don't want to be. You can be the softest soft-boiled egg possible, and you can get along just fine. And your family is safe and whatever. You can be the softest thing on the planet and you're going to be just fine. And it's a real shame because, and
you'll be fine because of men I don't want to say me, but the guys I served with.
Like yourself, for sure.
Fine because of them. You're not,
absolutely
you're fine from what they've given.
And we're fine here in Canada. We're it drives me crazy because people deny this. And I've had arguments with people before. We're fine because of America. I said, we are so lucky that we have America beside us. And people oh no, we have our own military. You're freaking crazy. If America said we don't want anything to do with Canada anymore, Russia would be here in 24 hours.
See, this is the problem Australia has, and this is the major problem. You guys are fine because of America. So you're a Western country, supported by a Western country. Australia's big problem, and this is what people are starting to realize in Australia. Australia is a Western country with an Eastern economic standpoint. It's 70-something% of Australia's money is from China. Now, this is the problem.
It's crazy.
Is all our money. You go down to the docks here, because I live in a port, and look at the ships carrying all our goods, all our coal, or all our uranium, all this shit. They go to China. And this is where people are going to cut ties with China. Australia is one of the richest countries in the world.
Yeah.
We would lose 70% of our exporting if we cut ties with China. So people don't understand that we're actually run by an Eastern communist fucking currency, or economically, even though we're one of the, most trusted fucking Western countries in the world. We will make up the term thrown around the most is what they call Five Eyes. So Five Eyes for all secret to top secret up documents are all classified Five Eyes. So they say the five most trusted countries are Canada, the US, UK, Australia, New Zealand. So all information is shared across those countries. with exception giving to some others occasionally, but otherwise all those is open source. And it's a funny one with Australia because it's like, yeah, we're so trusted, yet all our shit rides on the back of Chinese money. And we're starting to see that now as it's like, oh, fuck that, buy Australian made, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, we can't stop our boats loaded up with coal and uranium going there because what the fuck else are we paying for?
Yeah, you know? And the nerve-wracking thing is when you have such a reliance on a country that's like China, a communist country that you can't trust. I mean, anything China's ever said, you can't trust it. The first thing you do is assume it's a lie, and then you investigate and see if it's truth or not. But the scary thing is what kind of pull do they have behind the scenes if they have such a grasp on your economy?
Yeah,
and that's
the problem.
I'm not saying that China is running Australia at all, but I'm saying you have to be aware. Yeah, you have to be aware that there's, if they had, if there's a company and China has 70% of the shares in the company, they have a say of the choices that company makes.
Yep. Yeah.
And a large say.
Point where, China, and this is, open source information, in our most dense state, which is Victoria, China own the whole water service, the whole electricity service, and the road service. So they own every pole and wire for electricity and every bit of water in and out.
Wow.
For every pipe in the ground to tap, they own, and all the bitumen on the roads, they own it all. And, this is why Australia has a fucking shitload of money too, because there's a country of 1.4 billion getting supplied from a country of 24 million. That's the reason. But, there's a lot of issues in that now because the trust for China has never been. This has exposed a lot of bullshit that's been going on that was sort of swept under the rug, that politicians were happy to sweep under the rug because we're getting paid. And our country's running now that we've locked down and people have become, this shit isn't new. What they're doing isn't new. There's covering up and the CCP doing this and all. It's not new. People just know about it.
Yeah.
And now people are cracking the shit. And it's like, well, what do you want? Do you want to lose 70% of your income? And Australia looks like a country like Greece. And there's nothing against Greece, but we would look like a country like Greece. Or do you want to stay the fucking sort of paradise it is? Because that's the choice you have. If you're happy to live on 30% of what you've got, we can do it. But otherwise, we're too far from anywhere else. We supply very little to the States or Canada or anywhere. It's too fucking far.
Yep. Yeah, it's not economically viable. It's a major problem. And the scary thing as well is, it's easy to say, do you want to live on 30% of what you have? But it could end up being less than that. It could just fully crumble.
Oh, it would. It would. It would take, massive external influence from other countries to help Australia. Australia would have two options. We could be completely self-sustainable. It's like 95% of what we make here gets sent away as far as food.
Yeah.
But then we don't have a car industry. We don't have a lot of industries. It wouldn't reflect what people think of Australia. Now you come here and the average salary is one of the highest in the world, and it could be the highest. And all this other stuff, it wouldn't look like that. It would crumble.
Yeah.
Pretty quickly. And people get so used to what they earn and what they can do. Look at how people freaked out not having toilet paper.
Oh my goodness, crazy.
Imagine if I cut 2/3 off your paycheck next week.
If I took the food out of your fridge.
Yeah.
You're really going to panic.
Back to the point again, what we're talking about of the Afghani people about, privilege and stuff here. I remember them telling us as we were going into the country, they're like, lads, the biggest thing is the smell of shit, like human feces. And we're like, what? And we thought they were taking the piss. Like, we didn't think they were serious. Because we were flying in the winter. It's a funny one for me. For a Canadian, it'd be funny. The first time I ever saw snow was 20 years old, landing in Kabul, Afghan. Never seen snow before in my life. I'm like, what the fuck?
What is this?
It was fucking incredible. But immediately, first thing, you're hit in the face with this smell of fucking shit. You're like, what the hell is this? And in Kabul, they have to shit and dry it out, like to dry their shit out on a drying rack to burn it for heat, because there's no fucking trees. Yet Kabul in the winter drops 20 below. And it's fucking freezing. We're there in our extreme cold weather gear and whatever.
Yeah.
Especially the Australians, actually. You see all the other countries kicking around in just like fleece jackets and shit. Yeah. We all just like, fuck this. Well, I went from 47 degrees Celsius, well, I don't know, that'd be 140, to minus 14, 15, just like, this is fucked. But yeah, they dry out their own shit to burn
oh my goodness. You're making me puke.
Some heat. Yeah, and one of the big ones, man, we actually, my convoy got a bit fucked up once because the Australian vehicles, well, they're the best over there by far. Well, the Americans wanted to buy them, but we couldn't fill the quota and all this. But so we pretty much made up the quick reaction force for the city. So we were 5 minutes notice to move anywhere in the city to pick up people. And a lot of that got made up because all the American vehicles and the British have maximum 6 people carriage. We have up above 10 plus litters that we can put like litter stretchers in. So we had a quick reaction. And we were out in a job. We got caught out in the weather. And we're like, well, look, there's a blizzard, extreme cold weather gear, fucking stay indoors, whatever. And I'd never seen this shit before in my life. There was, and I will get my numbers wrong here, but I think it was 5,500 people died in the city on that night in the blizzard from the cold.
Yeah, that's terrible.
And I'm like, Sydney in Australia, which is the best known city, I guess, is about the same size as Kabul. Imagine if 6,000 people, whatever it was, died from fucking cold in a night.
Yeah, it'd be crazy.
Cold.
Yeah.
Like
people would freak out.
Accept it. Like, yeah, like I'm as conservative as possible. And I'd be like, fuck no, we need to get those people off the street or give them this or whatever.
Yeah.
And man, and it was just, but it carried on the next day, carried on like every day, like it never had happened. We've lost 50 people or something to coronavirus and we're fucking freaking out.
Just losing it.
These lads lose thousands in a night from the cold and it move on like nothing happened. And it's like, and they're burning their own fucking shit to try and stay warm. And it's like, fucking hell, it gives you a real perspective on how lucky we are.
Yeah, it shows the struggle, right? Because it's not like it's not like a bunch of Australians landed here and they had no idea it was going to be cold and they died like pioneers or something. These people live here. They know it's going to be cold. They know it's winter, but they just don't have the means to keep themselves warm. Yep. And that's the real tragedy. And, you know, like you said, we're freaking out because I couldn't buy 6,000 rolls of toilet paper to stock up for the next 45 years.
Yeah.
Like, it's just sickening. It's sickening behavior, and it's really sad. And I felt I had to go to the grocery store 2 months ago, and we actually needed Kleenex and toilet paper. And I felt like a friggin' idiot grabbing one pack of toilet paper because I didn't want to be associated with these panic buyers.
I was like, I'm the same.
Like, I feel ridiculous, but I actually need to buy toilet paper for my family. And I just want one pack, but I feel silly because I feel like everyone's going to lump me into these panic buyers. And I just couldn't, I almost didn't buy it. I felt so silly, but you know.
Oh man, I feel the same still in the supermarkets. I'm like, I don't want to buy this because I feel like a dick.
I feel like an idiot.
There's been some products which I'd normally buy 5 or 6 of at a time, which I'll go buy 2 and then go to another supermarket and buy 2 and be like, I just don't want to be seen walking out with 5. Like, fuck. I'm like, fucking, I feel bad. Like, shit. Which is stupid because of those people are just idiots. But the concern for me is what would happen, and I forgot, it was Joe Rogan's podcast, someone was talking about it. Imagine if this was a pandemic that was what I would class something, and I know what the World Health might classify as a pandemic. Yeah. I classify pandemic like your World War Z shit.
Yes.
It's got a 30% mortality rate.
Spanish flu.
Who are 25.
Yeah.
Yeah. Imagine how people would act if that happened. Like what the and this is where as conservative as I am, I really agree with Australia's gun laws. I think we did it at the right time and we did it the right way. We weren't too far in, and it wasn't, written bare bones into our constitution and our rights.
Okay.
I agree. As much as I love guns and I'm in the fucking infantry, for God's sake.
Yeah.
I'm heavy weapons in the infantry. But I think that also influences my decision of I've seen what these can fucking do as well.
Right. Sure.
So I'm not anti-gun, but I'm pro-outlaw. But this has really shown me, I'm like, well, what the fuck would I do if this was a Spanish flu? What the fuck am I doing?
You better be protected.
I said, well, no, I said to my partner, we'll protect by size of Australia, that we will head where I live, man. I live in Adelaide. So Adelaide is the driest capital and the driest state of the driest country on earth. And it's one of the biggest states with no one. It's massive. There's no one here. You head 25 minutes down the road and you're in desert like you see in the movies, like Mad Max desert.
Okay. Cool.
And I literally said, I went and got filled up all my jerry cans from a 4-wheel drive.
Yep.
I had whatever. And I was like, look, you can survive on very little food for a fucking long time. And water. And I'm like, look, we will just head down the Birdsville track, which is as remote as it comes.
Yep.
Get to a creek, like a little old creek line somewhere, head down at 5Ks, and no one would find you in a million years. Honestly. It's that fucking, is that desolate? No one would stumble across you. And that would be what I would do. And I have the means, I guess, to do that and the skills to do that. But I thought about it. I thought, well, what happens if this was Spanish flu and someone was breaking in my house? I might have a knife, but there's no overmatch. Like there's no, and if you had a gun, you would be so far overmatched. You'd be like a god walking around. You'd get whatever you wanted.
Yeah.
It's, and it was funny that I even thought about that of like, I'm not a prepper, but I was like, well, look, I'm going to have, 150 liters of petrol, on board, or as well as whatever's in the tank on board. So if we need to just fuck off for 2 weeks, because everyone will kill himself in a fortnight.
Yeah.
And then we'll come back in then once the damage is done and do this.
Yeah, I'm not a prepper by any means either, but I also played with the idea, and it's a good mental exercise because we should be prepared you should be prepared in some way, even if it is just mentally, for situations to get a little bit crazy. For me, my wife's brother, so my brother-in-law, he's a hunter, so he's got lots of guns and lots of ammo. I also did just buy my first gun recently, just a shotgun, a 12 gauge shotgun. I keep it at his house because I don't have my gun license yet. So I just paid him and he bought it. So it's his gun technically, but I paid for it. So my hunting license got canceled because of this friggin' COVID thing, because we can't do the course. So, but I already had the plans to buy the gun. So I went through, bought the gun anyway. And once this passes over, I'll get my hunting license and all that kind of stuff. Because I don't know what exactly your gun laws are. I know a little bit about it, but we're allowed to have shotguns as long as we have our hunting license, that kind of thing. Trudeau did just put a massive ban on a ton of rifles, though.
Yeah, I've seen that.
His knee-jerk reaction to a shooting that was done by a bunch of illegally smuggled guns from America. So the right thing to do, obviously, is to eliminate the guns out of law-abiding citizens' hands. That makes perfect sense. So he did that. So he's just such a dick. Anyway, so that's now we've got what people are saying, a bunch of safe queens. So they've got a bunch of these rifles that you can't do anything with. They just sit in the safe. Thousands of dollars per gun. They just got like AR-15s is the classic term everyone uses, right? AR-15, so scary, all that kind of stuff. It's ridiculous. But anyway, our laws here are, if you want to own a restricted rifle like an AR-15, you can, but you have to have a restricted license, and you can only shoot it at a range. You can't hunt with it. You can't shoot it at in your backyard. Even if you're a farmer, you can't shoot targets with it in your backyard. It has to be at a range. Well, now it's just banned. So it's completely ridiculous. But
see, Australia's gun laws are actually looser than I think a lot of people make out. Because a lot of people use Australia wrongly in the debate, and you see this, I guess, from the left particularly. Well, not even the left. People who are anti-gun, because there would be people on the right who are anti-gun.
Sure, there is. Yeah.
But Australia's gun laws, it's all licensable. So I have guys. I'm very a lot of contacts, ex-special forces guys who are all in the private sector of defence.
Okay.
Whether it be with defence or private contracting.
Yeah, cool.
Now, there you can get a law for basically anything. I know guys who own like gun building companies for defence. So they build our sniper rifles, which is the Blazer 50 cal.
Mm-hmm.
They build those rifles. So they can have a license for a fucking fully automatic 50 cal. That license exists, but there's loopholes you jump through. And it's actually not that hard to have a gun here or ammo. You go to the police station on Thursday night, do a fucking test, and you can have a bolt action rifle or a shotgun.
Okay.
With restrictions on magazine size and
same thing for us.
The thing Australia has is one, we can't drive across a border with guns in our boot from America in. Illegal firearms in Australia, your AR-15s, your any really semi to fully automatic weapon, are that you can get them on the black market. I could get one.
Sure.
But they're that expensive. They're professional criminals buying them who aren't shooting up schools or aren't doing whatever. And you hear this all the time that you can get an AK-47 in Australia, but it's you can look it up. It's like $86,000.
Yeah, it's just not worth it.
Almost $100,000 rifle that's actually worth about $600
yeah,
is a professional full-time fucking like mafia level criminal.
Yeah.
Because you're a professional criminal, you're not doing dumb shit. And I don't really care if professional criminals shoot professional criminals. I don't give a fuck.
Whatever.
But people use Australia as an example, and we're a much smaller country. And I think because we're more laid back and we're not fucking freedom going, when the massacre happened, I can't even remember what it's called. I should. But when the massive massacre happened and our Prime Minister at the time said we're doing a gun buyback, or we'll give you the money back for them, but from this date, if you haven't handed them back, they're illegal. The whole of Australia, like literally everyone was like, yeah, look, fair enough. We had a big problem with weapons coming out of World War II in Vietnam. That many weapons coming back, they lost track of a heap of shit. And instead of an AR-15, which is a fucking pea shooter,
exactly.
In a lot of ways,
Anyway,
there was M60 machine guns getting around and shit like that.
Yeah.
And I think the whole of Australia had a different attitude on it as, yeah, look, fair enough. We've seen what fucking happened. And I actually agree with the gun laws. As far as being in the military, and I think anyone who's never served in the military has this, but we can rise up against the government. Anyone who thinks that has never served, because if you go in my fucking armory at work and see the fucking shit hanging around in there and how far we can hit you from, and you'll stand there with your fucking AR-15. I'm like, we'll rock in an Abrams tank with 120 mil smoothbore. Fucking good luck.
We'll just drive over with a helicopter and mow you down like spraying water.
Gentlemen, I want to interrupt this episode just briefly to remind you yet again to rate, review, and share the podcast with your friends, family, your coworkers, uncles, father, brother, whoever it is in your life that can benefit from these conversations. Matt was an awesome guy to talk to, so please, guys, share this one with somebody. Connect with me on Instagram, StephenLopes_MOB. I look forward to hearing from any of you guys there. Connect with me, reach out, and we can go from there, guys. Enjoy the episode.
Exactly. And it's a big one of, I've never felt in danger of someone having a gun and me not in Australia. And that opened my eyes a lot when I was in Tampa, Florida, to holy fuck, people have guns here.
Yeah.
But a lot of soldiers, I struggled a little bit coming back from Afghan. I had a pistol on my hip for 9 months. And if I didn't have my rifle on me, my rifle was locked away, and I was like locked away in my room. And I was at the mess at the chow hall eating with my pistol. When I got back, and if I was in like a club and I felt a bit fucking whatever, I'd be like, where the fuck's my pistol? It felt a bit like,
felt naked.
I'm a small dude. I felt naked. I felt like, fuck, it's so equal here. It's a punch on.
Yeah.
But it's a hard one. And I'm not trying to, put it on anyone. Like, I agree that America should have their guns and people in Canada should have their guns. But it's also a different time. We bought them back 25 years ago. It was a different world then too.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I don't want to beat the gun law thing too much here, but I don't disagree with our laws. My issue is I don't think they need to go any further. You can't carry a gun around in Canada at all.
Yeah.
You can have a shotgun in the back of your truck or in the back of your car or something. That's fine as long as it's trigger locked and whatever. because you're allowed to drive to your buddy's house and shoot pigeons if he's got a pigeon problem at his farm. That's, that's completely normal. That should be allowed. But you can't walk around town with a gun anywhere in Canada. It's just not allowed. And
that's how it should be.
Exactly. And there's no pistols here unless they're all restricted. Any handgun is restricted. So you can only own a handgun if it's restricted, if you have your restricted license, and you can only shoot it at a range, or you can carry a pistol if you're a trapper.
Oh, yeah.
So, which is totally fine for me. I don't need to walk around with a pistol. I'm not saying I would be against it. If I had the option, I might buy one just because I like guns. That's different. Yeah. But I don't feel like I need one. So, but anyway.
So we have semi-automatics are allowed in Australia, of like military spec automatics for the big farmers up in the massive stations, because everyone who owns a station farm, which is tens to hundreds of thousands of acres, if not more, a lot of them own more. Like they'll always quote, I have more property than Finland has land mass and shit. Like it's commonplace. People forget how fucking big Australia is.
Yeah.
They all have helicopters, and they constantly do control of pigs and everything, and kangaroos from the side of the helicopter, shooting them.
That's crazy.
And there are licenses in place, if you're the right thing, of M4 style assault weapons, even suppressed in some cases due to restrictions. That exists. People don't think it does. It fucking does. It's just logical, I would say, that you're a farmer with a helicopter and you need to there's vermin control. And kangaroos are kangaroos are on our fucking coat of arms and all our notes and our money and on the fucking everything, and it's like the most common place to shoot them here because we've got that fucking many. We all eat kangaroo. I eat a lot of kangaroo.
It's the red ones you got to watch out for, right?
Well,
that's what I've heard. The red ones will kick your chest in.
Well, it doesn't happen. Like, they don't kick you. The biggest thing, it'll kill a dog. Like, it'll rip a dog apart.
Okay.
A red one. A red kangaroo, when standing up on its hind legs, will be 8 feet tall. Like, they're massive. They're bigger than your feet.
That's scary, man.
And will have shoulders bigger than a man. And they have, and you see like a really muscular guy, like massive, like boulder shoulder with veins and shit. They're fucking incredible. Like, you're like, holy, look at the fucking size of this gun. Like, it won't hurt. Like, they're scared of people. The best thing is if you're in the army in the middle of the outback and, you're all like, gillied up lying in a fucking bush somewhere and they don't even know you're there and they're just standing there next to you. It's really the time you'll see them completely in their natural state.
Yeah.
Like, not sort of looking at you. But they're wonderful animals, man. Honestly, like, it almost feel bad that we eat them, but we have too many kangaroos. But yeah, they're a very impressive animal when you see them. We have little ones we call wallabies, what are tiny, that would only probably stand 2.5 feet tall.
Oh man, that's cute.
And they're more in your rocky areas. But then they're super cute, tiny little bloody things. But then in the big outback red kangaroos, because you got to remember they have to they've evolved to travel tens to hundreds of kilometers. Like, shit's anywhere's a long way. Like, there are dudes, you'll hear farmers be like, yeah, my driveway is 55 kilometers long. What the fuck? And man, I was in a desert crossing the Simpson Desert, which is the biggest single desert in Australia. Which is 3 United Kingdoms together is the Simpson.
Wow.
And it's only a little blot in the middle, but it's pretty much as desolate as you'll get. So you have to drive 800 Ks on dirt roads just to get to the start of it. And we did a double crossing in 6 days or something, like a cross and back for a veterans thing. And you never really know the term of nothingness until you're out there and you're like, holy fuck.
That's just incredible, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's
I don't think we don't realize what it's like there at all.
It's an amazing thing because you'll never experience nothingness like it. Dead flat. Not even there's places where bacteria doesn't live because it's so sunburnt. So there's nothing. There's not even bacteria on the ground.
Wow.
It's just sand. But the thing is, and anyone who ever comes to Australia, you need to go into the South Australian outback or anywhere in the centre because you'll never see skies like it. And I've travelled the world. I've done 23 countries or something. Well, this is why NASA has every single one of its satellites or ground-based, like Earth-based satellite. It's not satellites, telescopes, is in South Australia where I live because we have the clearest skies in the world. Because we have no pollution.
Yeah, just no light pollution at all.
No, and it's just a desert but we have incredibly thin ozone here too. Like we have no real atmosphere above us. It's fuck all. And I'm not lying to you when I say it's a sheet of white stars. Like there's more white in the sky than black. Like I've lived here my whole life, and it takes my breath away every time you go into the outback, and you're like, you wouldn't think it looks fake. You're like, there's more white than black in the sky, and it's
Isn't that something?
You'll see. It's an incredible place. If you've like, I sort of take it for granted, but it's one of those like, I was out 4-wheel driving, and the thing is, to get anywhere is a long way away. Like it's 4 or 5 hours to get anywhere.
Right.
And I was out 4-wheel driving maybe 4 months ago with a couple of mates and a few Icelandic girls who were across, just visiting. Happened to know my mate, and we'll come out 4-wheel driving the outback with us, and like went down to the coast. We were out swimming, and we're swimming with dolphins out in the coast, in warm water.
Yeah.
And they were like in tears. They're like, "What do you mean you can drive on the beach and then swim with dolphins?" And you're like, "What do you mean? This is like normal shit." Like, no, fucking not. Like this is warm. It's fucking cool, man.
Yeah, my stepmom is Icelandic, so I know a little bit about their culture and that kind of thing, and it's definitely not Australia.
No, it's the exact opposite.
Man, their winters are wild.
Savage.
We've got crazy winters here. I'm in Eastern Canada, and the winters are wild, like -40, all that kind of stuff. It's freaking cold. But Iceland is just a whole nother level, and it's just what a crazy country.
200,000 people, 340,000 people or something total. There was a thing that went around our Facebook, like meme groups, like army meme groups the other day, of these Icelandic special forces dudes with like balaclavas and shit on, like breaching a house. And it's like, with 300,000 people, you'd know who that cunt is because
it's your neighbor.
You're like, be your neighbor. You're like, oh yeah, fucking Jim's one of the special ops cops, and he's all Baker. And like, you surely can't have that much fucking privacy.
I've heard they actually have like apps that you can use to make sure that someone's not related to you if you're going to date them.
Yeah.
You have to double check.
What's your name? Yeah.
You got to make sure it's not your second cousin before I make out with you.
The 300,000, you've all got to be somewhat like, it'd be a real like, where do I draw this line? Like, do you draw it at second or third? Like, at what point?
When is it okay?
Yeah, fucking oath. Shit knows.
I want to talk to you about your 4-wheel drive truck. Actually, I've seen the pictures of it on your Instagram, and the thing is, it is so cool. But I couldn't track down what is it.
It's a Suzuki Sierra.
We don't have that.
Known as a Suzuki Jimny.
For sure.
Yeah, little Jimny. It's an older one. It's the last ever model, of the models of 1996. So it's 24 years old now.
Man, it's so cool.
But they came out, so like, man, beyond their fucking time, it's full coil spring, like not a leaf in sight. Like, it's rare in a 4-wheel drive, like even now. Full coil spring. I've done an engine change in it. So it's now running a 1.7 litre, like modern little engine.
Yep.
It was a fuck around because it went from a north-south engine to an east-west. So it fits, but it was a bit fucked up.
Sure.
Full roll cage, full bar work. Low transfer case. Like most driving in Australia is in sand, and like it's bottomless sand. Weight is fucking everything in sand. Like it doesn't matter how much power you have. If you're heavy, you're not going anywhere. The whole thing's like its gross weight is like 800 kilos.
Wow.
On big bloody tires and everything, so it just floats across. Take the roof off, and it's just open roll cage.
Man, it's
so
cool.
It's the ultimate like sand buggy for you. And it's cheap as fuck to run and rebuild because it's the same. So Suzuki engines of that like 1.6, 1.7 liters.
Yeah.
Actually the same engine across like all those cars. So like even like your Sierra, your Liana, like your little Suzuki Swifts, everything runs the same engine, even like on different brands. So like I've broken like a starter motor. Go to some like local wreckers and be like, hey, do you have just any small car that can pull a starter motor off?
Any Suzuki's around.
Mazda, like, not even Suzuki. You're in like just a Mazda, and they're just all Japanese 1.6 liter engines, all like the exact same. And you might just have to like spacer out the starter motor. It'll fucking go. Like it'll just run. So it's like the ultimate like beach for just going wherever. Like it never failed me.
You gotta love the Japanese, eh? I mean, it's a real shame that Suzuki has folded and they don't make cars anymore. What a shame, because I'm a Honda guy, Toyota guy. That's what we drive. I drive a Subaru as well.
And I drive a Subaru as well. You've probably seen that one too.
Is that
Have you seen my white Subaru?
Yeah. Oh yeah, the 440 horse.
Yeah, 440 at the wheels.
Man, that thing is a beast.
Yeah, it fucking goes. So I've put about 15 grand into the engine on it. Running like full ethanol, fucking pretty much everything's done. Launch control, everything fucking hammers that STI.
Yeah, my Subaru is the opposite. I drive a 2004 a 2004 Impreza, and it's bone stock. And it is slow. But
they're fucking good cars though.
It'll get you there though. So
that's the important thing.
I just throw it's a great car. It treats me well, and I love the ability to throw it. It comes stock with bars on the top, so I've got a roof rack for my mountain bike and that kind of thing. And that's another thing I want to talk to you about is your mountain biking, because you do incredible downhill riding too, right?
Yeah, but not that much anymore. I still get out now and again, but I was racing for a while. Me and my brother, we grew up actually racing BMX.
Okay.
We're actually both Hall of Famers.
Really?
In our state. So 10 state titles back to back. I did my first one at 4 years old. Racing, and then moved across at about 15 or 16 into mountain biking, which a lot of people in Australia might go, where the fuck's your mountains? But you find ones here and there.
Every once in a while.
Moved across into downhill. My brother's still heavily into it. But yeah, man, downhill with lots around this area. Actually, one of the big ones is Adelaide, where I live. 2 of the top 10 downhills in the world are from here. Like, so anyone who knows Conor Fair and Troy Brosnan, who are like world circuit top 10 riders.
Okay.
I think one of them podiumed last year in the World Cup. Are both locals here. So
that's cool.
Definitely says something about the world-class sort of stuff in our area. Don't have any chairlifts or anything, but at the same time, we don't have 6 months off. It's fucking snowing either. So occasionally they can't ride because it's fucking 50-something degrees.
Yeah.
But yeah, world class in where I am. So yeah, get out a bit on that. Sort of around work takes up a lot of my time.
Yeah.
And a lot of social stuff. But yeah.
You've got a lot on your plate. I mean, you got. Are you working like a regular job as well now, or? Yeah,
full-time army still.
Right, exactly. So you're
still full-time army.
Yeah, you got a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, I'm still 0600 in the morning through to 1700 in the afternoon, sort of days. But that includes travel to work and back.
Yeah,
it's 35 minutes each way. But that, and then on top of running social stuff, podcasts. It's all. There's only so many hours in a day, and I allocate. A lot of time to exercise a day, at least an hour to 90 minutes, as well as other shit. And so there was a time when I was doing 3 podcasts a week, and a lot of my podcasts, it's pushed 2-3 hours. And I'd be like, fuck, I work at 9 or 10 hour day and then an hour in the gym. So say it's 11 hours. Then I'm on a podcast for 3 hours, and then I sleep for 8. And I've got very little actually left over here.
Yeah.
And it's all fatiguing stuff. Like being in the army is fatiguing.
Yep.
Podcasting is fatiguing as fuck. Like, I don't know about you, but I know if I do a long pod, I'm stuffed after.
Mate, you're mentally exhausted.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah.
So And then you've got with the podcast all the shit you do around it. Like, yeah, it's just audio that ends up on Spotify, but there's fucking a lot more in it than people. Like, that's what I thought it was when I launched mine, and then it's just like, this isn't that. Like,
man,
shit.
It's so much work, and now I'm trying to get into releasing the podcast on YouTube as well, which is it's a whole other ball game of video editing. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know, the audio part. Yeah, once you get the hang of it, you know, you can get it down to an hour or so, maybe a little bit more for editing and that kind of thing. But now that I'm trying to do the YouTube stuff, which I haven't actually released yet, it's exhausting. It takes so much time. And I work full time. I've got 2 toddlers, 2 and 3 years old. Like, I got a household to run. I'm also working out in my garage. I do home workouts similar to what you're doing. And you work out mostly at home, right?
Yeah, well, a lot at home now because I am in the high risk category for this COVID disease.
With your chemo and everything.
Yeah, well, I've been off chemo for about 12 months, but they don't really know. There's no science behind. There's no science behind what happens if I get this with my condition. So they're like, well, instead of fucking testing that science, let's fucking isolate you because. It could be nothing, but it could be fucking really bad. So you probably save just to isolate, which is fair. Sure. But the big thing with my home, I have a fucking brilliant home gym, like as good as you get. Basically, when I first was diagnosed in 2018 with cancer, Australia became the first country in the world in 2018 to have prescription exercise with cancer treatment.
Oh, sweet.
Exercise for cancer is as good as any treat. Like there is, chemo, radio and shit. They're good for cancer, and exercise is the exact same.
Wow.
Of good, like for actually recovering with it. It is underutilized for it. It's one of the main things, but it's one of the main things people don't do because it's not just a bagging you up or putting you in a machine.
Yeah.
Or cutting you open. It's fucking hard. And they always prescribe, doctors always will, let's, do some light exercise, go for a walk to ease the nauseous feeling from chemo.
Yeah.
And then actually they discovered all this shit of, no, fuck that. You need to be like in the CrossFit gym. You need to, we need to wrap cancer patients in cotton wool. Now you need to for some things as far as you will catch any infection or you can't drive. Like I couldn't drive or anything. But they're like, you need to work out. And doctors, man, in Australia now, if you get cancer, you will get like a little green booklet thing and then you get prescribed exercise from an exercise physiologist, and they log they take you to the gym and they sign it off that you've done it.
Nice.
Now I didn't get that because they're like, well, you're in the army, you'll work out anyway. But then I have a few mates, veteran industry guys, who make fitness equipment. So Aussie Strength. They're like the equivalent to Rogue, say.
Okay, cool.
They were like, hey, Willy, look, because I put up a lot of shit about, well, the only thing I can control in my cancer journey is my fitness and my health.
Yeah.
So I can't control the chemo. I can't control the growth. That's all uncontrollable to me. That's either doctors or just fucking sheer dumb luck. But I can control my fitness and how I react to the treatment because your chemo you will react better to it if you exercise. But I couldn't drive because of the surgery I'd had on my brain and I was too sick to drive. So they sent me all this fitness equipment and I've got like a fucking world-class setup in my shed. What's just fucking luck for getting cancer, I guess. Awesome. Yeah. Worth it.
Luck.
But yeah, but it was so good, man, just to, because there was times I couldn't walk. I was that sick.
Yeah.
So I could walk 20 or make it the 20 meters into the gym, do a set of bicep curls, and then walk back in. And even though I got so much less fit than I was, like I remember I was squatting one week, whatever, and then I couldn't lift the gym, like the bench in my gym, I couldn't lift it onto its wheels. I was too weak from the treatment. But man, exercising, that's the only way I survived. Originally, they wanted to do 3 months of chemo, which is a fucking long time anyway. And we pushed to 13 months.
Wow.
Because I survived exercise and shit. And it's the most overlooked thing in cancer treatments, or treatment pretty much for anything in general. Like there is no disease you can get which exercise won't help.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Is it's not just overlooked in cancer. It's everything in our lives. If you feel depressed, get outside and do some exercise. It's going to help. It's not, I'm not saying it's going to cure it.
Shit after going to the gym.
Yeah.
Or going for a run.
It's going to help.
Oh, yeah, that's massively. If you don't exercise and eat well and you're depressed, I can tell you 2 things which are chemically induced in your body that are out of balance already. And exercise saved me in a lot of ways, man. It was something, cancer's pretty, you can get pretty fed up with shit. And, especially have my home gym, it was my own space, I fucking hate the word safe space. But for me, it was, I guess, I was that sick. Body positivity is bullshit for anything that's self-induced. But, being sick and being all fucked up, that, it's not pretty hard to be positive about that. But, being able to walk into my shed, do a set of bicep curls and walk back and lie on the couch and throw up for fucking 3 days. I'm able to do that in a home gym, and I couldn't have done that at your 24-hour fucking shithole.
Good times.
Yeah, fuck yeah. But it's a fucking important thing, man. The biggest thing is trying to keep that up for cancer treatments. And as well, man, there's so many other things too that it helps as far as, shit moving around your brain, firing things off. It's fucking, Pete, get in the fucking gym or go for a walk. If you can't afford a gym membership, go for a run. Or
do something. Yeah, you've also switched over to keto full time, right?
Yeah, bro. I normally don't have the time to experiment. Well, not time. Ability, probably like I'm going to meal prep and eat whatever I've prepped at work.
Yeah.
Or if we haven't, me and the boys in the Subway, we get a discount. Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, discount. Being on isolation, I was listening to, I can see the book in your backdrop there, Jordan Peterson.
Hello. Oh, this side. Yep.
The other way. Jordan is full carnivore.
Yes.
Diet. He only meat, salt, and water, and bubbly water, he says.
Yeah.
Another one of your Canadian fucking gems. So I was basically listening to him and Joe Rogan. And I was like, fuck it. Like, I'm at home. I'm going to be at home for 30 days. Why not instead of everyone else is getting fat and laying around, I'm going to give this a crack. I struggled getting meat because we have a lot of meat restrictions. So I had to sort of go to every fucking supermarket and butcher and get shit, especially buying good quality, like grass-fed meats.
Yeah.
It wasn't that easy this time, but
that good roux meat.
Yeah. I mean, kangaroo is the best meat you can eat. Joe Rogan was like, "Oh, I wish we could get kangaroo because it's so good." I'm like, "Well, fucking eat a dick on it." And it's pretty cheap here too. But yeah, I did full carnivore for 30 days. So all I had was meat, eggs, water, salt, and man, honestly, the improvement in my mental capacity and my focus and physical to a degree, I lost a lot of weight on it, like a shitload of weight. In 30 days, I lost like 13 kilos. I'm on a lot of steroids due to chemo that make you hungry. They want you to put on weight. So in my 13 months of chemo, working out and I put on like 45 kilos of weight. They want you to. And I was like, what the fuck? Yeah, man, I lost like 13, 14 kilos in 30 days on carnivore, and I wasn't hungry once. I was just eating fucking meat, just stuffing my face with fucking steak. Yeah, and then I switched full keto, mainly because I was bored of meat. I was like, fuck, Australia grows like all the avocados in the world.
Yeah.
All this other shit.
You want some variety.
I just want some avocado. Yeah, fucking oath. But honestly, it's my focus on carnivore is better than it is now, as far as I didn't have a peak and trough of energy. I was very like a middle plateau across the day, like ability to focus and work on things. And I was more mentally stable, man. I'm not really a mentally stable dude anyway, but I didn't have that big swing of mood. The one thing I had to be careful of though was I only drink black coffee anyway. I fall in that fucking percent of cucks that are lactose intolerant.
Oh, that's too bad.
But I just don't drink milk. I don't have to fucking tell everyone about it. So I just drink black coffee.
What a shame, though.
I love ice cream. I like ice cream enough that I'm prepared to shit myself for the next 3 hours.
It's worth it. It's worth it. There's trade-offs for everything.
Fucking oath. Fuck yeah. But yeah, I had to be careful with black coffee because it seems like when you're just eating meat, your body becomes, because it's one food really you're having.
Yeah.
Different animals, but it's sort of all the same shit.
Yep.
You're very sensitive to stuff. And like you'd have a black coffee and be bouncing off the fucking walls. It's like, what is this fucking thing you put in me? But yeah, it was honestly really good experience if people are interested in doing it.
Would you recommend, like, I eat a pretty generic diet. Eggs are a staple. I have 4 eggs every morning and usually 1 or 2 pieces of toast and like 2 breakfast sausages. My lunch will be either leftovers from dinner, so like a meat pasta, or a tuna sandwich or something. And then for dinner, some kind of meat, whether it's chicken, pork, or steak, and, potato, asparagus, that kind of thing. You think it's worth it for me to try full meat for a month?
Yeah, I reckon the experience of taking out other foods, and then because all it is an elimination diet. So say the way you just explained your diet to me was you talked about the core food first. So you said, for dinner I'll have chicken and this. So imagine a meat diet is elimination. So you go back to the core. So beef, chicken, whatever. That's what the meal is based on.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're just doing that. And then once after that 3rd day, start adding things in to see how you react to it. But all you're doing is eliminating, because on a meat diet, you cannot eat processed foods. It's impossible to actually have processed foods. It's impossible to actually just have a snack.
Right, yeah.
And you sort of need to cook. And you have to think about what you're eating because you're cooking it. It's one of the most, I hate the word enlightening because I'm not a monk.
That's a good word. It's a good word. Yeah.
For some things, but, fucking some people will be like, fucking Obama was enlightening. Oh, fucking fuck off. But anyway, it was enlightening to strip my diet back to nothing and then look at it from almost like a third party of fuck, this is bare. And that's the first thing you'll notice is you're like, why does my plate feel empty? Because normally you'll have eggs and bacon on toast and you're just there with eggs and bacon. You're like, I feel like I'm missing something.
Yeah.
And you're so sensitive to things because, and Jordan talks about this where he had like a cider one night and knocked him out for like a week.
Yes.
Because you're so sensitive to things. But you really get to know, well, fuck, my body feels like this on chicken. And man, if you eat, say you have a steak and veggies and chips and it's grass-fed or grain-fed, you won't notice the difference of how you feel after it. If you have a steak that's grain-fed one night and then a steak that's grass-fed the next on a carnivore diet, you will feel 100% different.
Really?
On grain-fed, grass-fed, because you're so sensitive.
Interesting.
And I will never eat, well, no, I shouldn't say never. I will never elect to eat grain-fed again. Like I'll be like, fuck, grass-fed only, because I know, although I might feel the difference because I'm eating it with broccoli or whatever, but I'm like, fuck, how much different that makes in my body. So you're basically just eliminating any shit back to those core ingredients you already have in your diet. And then so what I did with keto was add in 1 or 2 things at a time. So I added in first mushrooms. I don't like mushrooms. Well, I never liked mushrooms. All I craved was fucking mushrooms on this diet. So I added mushrooms first and then found the big mushrooms made me sick and the little ones, whatever they're fucking called, didn't make me sick. So I've gone
like just white mushrooms?
Yeah, just normal white mushrooms.
Yeah, I freaking hate mushrooms.
Yeah, I normally do too. And that's all I wanted. Maybe there's something, I don't know. I don't know enough about nutrition notes in them, but maybe my body was craving that.
Yeah.
And then I added in, added an avocado, like those high fat foods, and onion. And basically all I eat now is meat, avocado, onion, mushrooms. And then I'm now putting in, some beans, and very dark greens, and actually just experiment. So it's like I've stripped everything back. And then I'm adding in one thing to see how it goes. And then I can take it out and it's like add in something doesn't work, add in something works. Okay, now I've got this and that, and then I can add and then move out. and sort of reconstructing my diet. But yeah, the bare bones of carnivore, that's as bare as you can get. And then just start adding. It's a really good experience, man, to be like, fuck, this is survivable too. Like you don't think, and you're like, the funny things with it, there's two funny things. The first one is you become a bit of a savage. After like week 3, you're like, I don't need pork. Like meat's all perfect, just eat with your hands. You just like, you look like a fucking caveman. You just got like a big, like your kitchen table will just be like napkins and a plate with your meat on it. But you also want your meat, like I'm normally like a medium well sort of steak guy. You want it more and more and more rare.
Yeah, bloody.
I started, yeah, you want it like fucking still mooing.
Yeah.
You go like that. You eat so much less.
Interesting.
By default, you're like not hungry. Like normally my breakfast, man, would be I'd go to the mess and have 2 eggs on toast with bacon and a banana.
Yeah.
And this and that, whatever. I would have an egg, 2 bits of bacon and be full. And
really?
like be proper full. Yeah. You speak to anyone who's done carnivore, they're like, in the beginning, eat. Like if you feel sick, you're not eating enough because you need the fats because your body survives off fat now, not carbs.
Yeah.
You pump fats in. So in the beginning, you need to just be stuffing your face with fatty meat. But the other funny one is, and this is a funny one, people will judge you more for carnivore than smoking. So imagine if you're at a kitchen table with people and someone goes, oh, Willy, or Matt, do you want some veggies with your steak? Oh, no, sorry, I only actually eat meat. People would judge me more than if I stuck up my hand and I'm just going to take out the front for a cigarette. People will have more of a conversation about how unhealthy you are for eating meat, eating grass-fed, well-done meat, rather than cooking your lungs with a cigarette. Because there's a lot of, I'm not saying that vegan isn't healthy. There's ways to eat pretty much any diet healthily. But it's not unhealthy eating this either. The idea that humans were primarily herbivores or omnivores is wrong.
That is wrong.
It is wrong. And the big thing is you've got to look, what a lot of them will say is, a majority of our diet was omnivorous. And it's like, well, are you talking about majority of calories or majority of a plate? Because you can have a 200-gram bit of meat with fucking greens all around it, but still the majority of your calories is that meat. And no, we might eat some fucking berries now and again, but we were hunting animals to eat it.
Absolutely.
And this is where, and I haven't gone far, if you want to go back to bare bones, you do intermittent fasting, meat only.
Yes.
Because we would hunt, let's just say you ran down a deer and you say you need 1,000 kilojoules for the day, you eat 10,000 kilojoules of meat right there.
Yep.
And then the next day you have to hunt something again and you have spouts of 1 meal a day or 1 or 2 meals. You can't, you're not fucking, you can't keep it in the fridge. So you eat, once a day meat, but taking it back to meat for me was a big eye opener to what my body needs. And it's really moved how my diet moves forward. It affected early some of my major lifts. Like my squat went from like 180 kilos down to like 160. Like I lost a fair bit, like I lost like 20 kilos on it. But my endurance exercise went up. Normally say 10Ks running in, I feel like I need something in me to eat. And I did. And my partner, she does Ironmans. And with all her training, she found no problems with eating only meat. And she lost like 6 kilos and she's Iron woman. There's no fucking fat to lose. You wouldn't think. Almost found it to lose it.
Wow.
A big one that I found with one of the reasons you feel shit if you haven't eaten, say, on a normal diet is you're out of carbs in your belly and your body's transferring your energy system from carbs to fats. And that transfer is like, what the fuck? It's like
exhausting.
Like a car that runs flex fuel and you go from gas to petrol. What the fuck's going on? Imagine if you're only on a keto fat only diet, you don't actually notice when you've eaten all the food in your belly and it just starts eating your fat. it's all the same energy source, so it's just on reserve. So you don't actually get hunger. Like you don't get hunger pain. You actually have to remind yourself to eat occasionally because you're like, fuck, I haven't had dinner. And there was times I'd get up in the morning and I'd work like all day writing or doing or exercising, whatever. And I'd be like, fuck, I haven't eaten today. I need to eat. And that's probably a big one too. Don't forget to eat either because you could do it.
So yeah, that's super weird for me because I obviously have like, I probably eat too many carbs. Like I love bread and that kind of thing. And it's always been a staple in my life. But if I eat breakfast, like I'll eat 4 eggs, 2 pieces of toast and like a banana or something at like 7 a.m. By 9 a.m. at work, I could rip someone's head off. I'm so hungry.
Yeah.
Starving.
Oh, trust me. And that's, man, I've been like that my whole life.
Yeah.
And it's not till this, I've been like, holy fuck, I'm not hungry. Like actively not hungry. Really weird. Like honestly, anyone out there really recommend try like 30 days is fuck all. It is more expensive because carbs are fucking cheap. Carbs and sugar is cheap as fuck.
Yeah. So
because that's all the elimination is you eat no carbs, no sugar.
It's part of the problem though, is it's so cheap.
Yeah, that is the problem. Yeah, fucking oath. But at the end of the day, it's not that much more, and it's an investment in yourself. But it's a really good experiment too. It's a really good experiment to do. The biggest sort of, I guess, thing it comes with is your first 4 days, you'll feel terrible.
Right.
You know, when you go to a big barbecue and you get a fuckload of meat, the meat sweats and you feel shit. You'll feel like that for like 4 days.
Meat sweats.
Like the first 3 or 4 days were rough because your body doesn't know how to break down. It's almost panics. It's like, I've got no energy. Like you've given me nothing to survive on. Your body can run on fats, but it doesn't know to yet. Hasn't really learned to. It's like, what the fuck? Because for me, for 24 years, it had eaten carbs for energy. And I'd suddenly not given it a single carb, and it's no carb, no sugar. It freaks the fuck out.
Yeah.
It doesn't know what to do. Those first few days are rough. But the number one thing that I read on a fucking forum, and it ended up being true for once, was eat more fat if you're fat. So just eat bacon. Just fucking eat fat. Because that's the only thing that'll help you in those beginning couple of days. And then you'll plateau and you'll be right. But it's pretty hard those first couple of days to actually get going because it's just like, you're just like, fuck this.
Right. Well, your body's going through some changes, but I like what you said about like, it's only 30 days. It's not a big deal. And I've used this argument against people for like smoking weed and drinking all the time. It's like someone who drinks a lot or smokes a lot of weed or something. And they're like, oh, well, I need it for this or that, or, oh, I can't stop now. I've done it for so long. I'm like, just stop for like 2 weeks. Like what's 14 days or what's a month? It's like, think about how long your life is. Don't smoke weed for a month and just see what it feels like. And tell me if you need it after a month. Yeah. The answer is going to be no, you don't need it.
Yeah. And if you think, 30 days is 90 meals. That's fuck all, really.
It's nothing.
It's not much. And to be honest, at the height of carnivore, I was 2 meals a day and that was it.
Wow.
I'd eat a steak for dinner, like say a 350 gram steak and 2 eggs in the morning, and that was it.
Wow.
But I was actively trying to lose weight. That was all I felt like. That's all I needed. And it became, and I think it's actually a mental state. You separate enjoyment and an occasion from food. So one of the problems I see of obesity, and myself, and I struggle with this, is we put food with occasion. So every occasion we do rotates around food. So you and your family go out, you go out to have lunch and do something, or do something and have lunch. I won't go into the dinner time scenario at the dinner table is one of the most important things for kids ever.
Yes.
But it is one of those things. Let's put that on the side. But meals a lot of the time in our society is an occasion. That you go out and eat this and you have with carnivore, I found it a feeding time, not an occasion. So I would sit down, smash my fucking eggs because it's not that you're not enjoying it, but it's not the same. You don't fire off all these good feelings in your head because of all the sugar rush and everything. it literally, we would sit down, eat a steak, and that would just be, it would just be another, it was almost like a chore. It was just something we did. It was feeding.
It's just fuel.
It wasn't, yeah, it would literally became filling up your car.
Yeah, just putting gas in the tank.
Going for a drive. Yeah, it was like, oh, I need this for my nutrition, not an occasion. And because you can barely, carnivore, you can't really eat out. We're going to be very careful if you do. It takes the occasion away from food. And that's one of the things I see of a problem. Is, you know, Australia pub culture, pub meals.
Yeah.
I mean, everywhere in the world, really. You go to the pub and, you have a fucking chicken palmy and this and that and chips and beer. It's a very occasion thing. And to separate food and occasion isn't easy to do. But isolation, like, you know, at the moment where all the pubs and shit are closed, the perfect time to, you can't go out anyway.
Yeah.
Go to the supermarket, buy a fuckload of good meat and just smash it.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah.
You get really good at making shit.
Yeah, well, I think I might try it. We've actually, my wife and I have kind of said like, oh, we need to add more red meat. We do a lot of chicken and that kind of thing. And we've been saying we need to put more red meat in the diet. So perfect time for me to capitalize and tell her that I'm also going to just only eat red meat and see how she reacts. Yeah,
you should give it a crack. And from someone with a cancer, man, the whole thing about red meat causes cancer is somewhat bullshit. Everything causes cancer.
Oh.
Like, fuck, I cop it. Like, oh, fucking do this. It's like, no, it fucking doesn't. Like, you talk to her, like, you'll get Karen on Facebook telling you what to eat and to smoke weed and all this shit. And it's like, well, I speak to an oncologist 3 times a month.
Yeah.
And he said, don't fucking change your diet. Eat like this. Eat balanced. You know, stick away from this, whatever. That's all right. And I even asked my oncologist, like, weed in Australia is not legal, but medical, I'm not fully over it, but like CBD oil and shit is legal medically. The whole thing is, and I haven't done it, so I can't really, because defence members still can't do it, so I'm not fully over it. But a lot of the reason people smoke weed on chemo and the reason it can be given, and a lot of people don't know this, isn't to cure the cancer. It's to relieve the symptoms of the chemo so then you can do more chemo. The chemo is what kills your cancer, not the fucking weed. So it's like, you know, how I was saying, I was meant to do 3 months. I exercised, we pushed 13. Same with smoking weed or something, that you're meant to do 3 months, but because of the weed's helping these symptoms, you know, the nausea and whatever's going on, or just diluting your stress, that then like people can push further to do the clinical drug. I'm not a big one for, big pharma knows the cure for cancer. They fucking don't. Because if they did, then it would be a multi-trillion-dollar industry.
It's a ridiculous argument.
Yeah, and I remember speaking to my a neurosurgeon, my neurosurgeon. He's world famous, Charlie Teo. He's probably the most famous neurosurgeon in the world. I'm incredibly lucky to see him. And he's a very big one for defence members. Anyway, and him saying, Willy, he runs the leading research foundation of brain cancer in the world. And he said, Willy, if the cure to brain cancer was marijuana, trust me, we've looked into it by now. He said, we're looking into nanotechnology and this shit. He said, one of the first things we ticked off the list was, is any fucking natural plant out there killing it? Yeah,
can we just smoke this plant? That'd be great.
Like, that is a hell of a lot cheaper than the nanotechnology we're doing at the moment. He said, if it fucking worked, I'd personally fund it from my neurosurgery wage to cure everyone.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, fuck. He actually, I'm on a podcast live show with him this Thursday. It's him, myself, and Kelly Slater, the surfer.
Nice.
Because Charlie worked on Kelly Slater's dad before he passed. It gave him about 18 months more of life. Charlie's world famous because he will do surgeries once they're inoperable around the world. So if you get a tumor and every surgeon says he will do it. He'll operate on anyone, but he'll tell you straight up, you're probably going to die. You know, you've got, but he puts it to you like this. Imagine if you go in and they say, look, Steve, you've got 1 month to live with this. 100% you're going to die in 1 month. Or I can give you this surgery and you have a 10% chance of living 2 more years. At worst, he's taken a month off you. At best, he's given you 2 more years. A lot of people will go, he's a fucking cowboy doing these operations. And it's like, no, these people aren't fit, healthy people going in. These people who are fucked up with a stage 4, like glioblastoma in their brain, they're dying anyway. And these people have gone, well, at worst, you're taking a month. At most, you'll give me something. Most of the time, he takes a month, but he's taken a month.
It's barely a gamble.
It's not even a gamble. The only people who are ever against it are people who are not in that situation. Who are not in a situation like mine, where everyone else says it can't be done, and he goes, well, look, I'll give it a go. He's a glimmer of hope that, well, at least I'll give it a crack. And then he has people, man, that he's pulled it off, and people had a month, and they're 10 years on.
Yeah, wow.
It might be the 5%, but it's fucking happened, and it's like, well, these people are worth it.
And he's added more time than he's taken away.
Yeah.
If you add up all the people, right?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Some of these high end cancers, man, have a 0.2% 5-year survival rate. Like, what are you going to fucking do? And a lot of the time, and he'll do surgeries. He actually got kicked out last to leave, politely, I think. The doctor's fellowship, the surgeon's fellowship, and he told him to stick up their ass, and he left.
Yeah, whatever.
Because the doctor's thing is cause no harm, and he was in some ways purposely causing harm to save people. So he would go, say with you, imagine if you had what I had. He'd go, well, look, Steve, I can cut your tumor out, but you're going to be paralyzed from the waist down, but you can still sit there with your kids and
live your life a little bit.
But I'm going to paralyze you by cutting out this section of brain that's infected with the whatever. Where a normal doctor would go, that causes harm, I can't do it. He will go, well, I'm doing it, cause no harm. Well, I'm going to cause fucking harm.
Yeah.
But it's your decision. So, and that's where he went to me. He looked at mine controls my motor strip on my right side, my right leg, right hand. And he asked me, he's like, you're in the army, aren't you? Yeah. He's like, what do you do for fun? I'm like, I travel and I mountain bike. And he goes, right, well, no, we're not doing the operation, because he said, if you came in here and said you like reading books and playing Call of Duty and sitting around at home, then I would be like, yes, let's do it. Because I can give you a couple more years and you'll lose most of motor skills in your leg and arm. But he said, it's not worth the time I can give you for me taking those from you. Not yet. He said, if you get in here with your kids and you just said, all I want to do is see my kids turn 16, then we'd do it today. I'd have you in the operating theatre now.
Yep.
But you're not in that case. He's like, I'll do it if you fucking want me to do it, but I recommend not at the moment. And he's as blunt as that. It's pretty intimidating.
But that shows his integrity as a doctor, right? He's anything but a cowboy. You know, he obviously has the patient's best interest in mind. And I was actually one of my notes that I have here is to ask you about deciding not to get tumor removal surgery, because you made a little video on that. And it makes perfect sense as someone who's as active as you are and who relies on, for your mental well-being to be out and about and to have this active lifestyle. It wouldn't be worth it for you to be sitting on a couch learning how to walk and read again.
No, not at all. And, there's no guarantees in it either. With tumors, unless they cut out more than 95%, your life expectancy doesn't change. Now, a lot of the time they go in and cut out 5% and go, nah, and close you up. And they can cut out 5%, not change. The biggest danger is they go in, I have the same life expectancy and they take my movement. Like, then they cut, that's the majority of what happens.
That'd be terrible for you.
Yeah, imagine that. I've got the same life, but without the quality.
Yeah, terrible.
And it's a hard one. Of how many years would you give to stay mobile? You can't. It's pretty hard to put a number on it. And I don't think about it too heavily. But there's lots of shit I haven't done which I want to do, and even things I don't know which I want to do yet.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a hard one, but I think that's the decision I made. And And yeah, I get told every day it's the wrong one by people, but
it's not their choice.
Fucking decision. Yeah, and I think a lot of people in my case would do the same thing. My life lives off movement. I know if I lost it, then I'd just, I know I'd grip that up as well and do whatever. But and this is the thing with averages with a disease like mine. If you Google my disease, the average will be 5 to 7 years. That's what it'll tell you. But a bit like what we're seeing with this COVID case was if someone has COVID and crashes a car and gets killed, then they're logged down as a COVID death.
It's a COVID death. Yeah, exactly.
This is what happens with a lot of these cases is the person gets this glioma, same as mine, at 90 years old, dies in 3, and they've gone, 3 years. Because to get an average of 5 and someone dies in 6 months, then someone has to live 10 years to make an average of 5. And also, any average you have, if your average is 7 years, that data can only be as new as that is long. So the data is from 7 years ago because they're waiting for cunts to die to update the data. This is why they study high-end tumours of 1 or 2 months, because they get the data way quicker to develop formulas for. Because that's one of the things is to get the data, they're waiting for people to die, which is a bit savage, but medical has to happen. So, medical from the data I receive is 7 years further ahead. Think of your phone 7 years ago to what it is now.
Yeah.
That's all machine. And as well, and this is what they say, yes, that's the average, but look at the average person in society too. What is the average? That's pretty hard because you think average, you hang around with army guys all day. You think of the average of fit, healthy, runs this, runs that. If you actually look at what an average person is, they're not 24, run every day, gym every day, and eat well and don't smoke and don't overdrink and don't do this, don't do that.
Yep.
And highly motivated for things. That's not an average. Yet these statistics, they don't take into account age, obesity, family health. They take in none of those other statistics. They are just this is an average. Everyone who's 100 years old down to 6 months old, it's just all lumped in there. And one of the hard things with my tumour is they don't know and they can't tell me, well, has it been growing for 6 months and it's grown 42 millimetres in 6 months? Or were you born with a 1 millimetre tumour and it's grown 2 millimetres a year and it won't be a problem for 20 more years?
Yeah, they have no idea.
The longer no medical is going rearwards. Everything medical is going forwards. It's all getting better.
Yeah.
So the longer we can leave it, the better the treatment option will be.
Yes.
The prognosis will be. And they're going, imagine if we fucking cut it out now and it wasn't going to grow for another 20 years or it was growing that slow. It's not a problem for 20 years. We don't know a rate of growth here. And at the moment, in the last 12 months of chemo, we've had no growth. Now, it could blow up as well. Brain tumours normally double in size in 16 hours. This is why they're so fucking savvy. So once it goes 16 hours, double in size, and that's the end. But they also, we don't know why that happens. We don't know what triggers it. But what if it doesn't happen for 20 more years and I get an operation tomorrow that could kill me on the operating table? This is the problem with, I'm not trying to turn anyone away from getting a surgery. Of course, there are so many are life-saving, but mine's a fucking very hard case. As well as there's a few different types of cancers, sort of ones you get from smoking. You get lung cancer from smoking or skin cancer from skin. Mine is actually a chromosomal issue, my tumour. So on my 13th pair of chromosomes, on the leg of it, there's a slight imperfection that gives me this fucking tumour. So if they cut it out, it will just grow back. It's as chromosomal as you having or me having blonde hair. It's
interesting.
As intrinsically in my genetics as that. Now, as unfair or fair as that is, it's just the fucking way it is. Some people have red hair and blue eyes and whatever.
Yeah.
It is that genetic. It's in the genetic sequence of this, and there's a imperfection in that leg. The same as Down syndrome is a chromosomal issue. This is very mild compared to that, but it's a chromosomal issue. It's called the MP1319Q or some shit like that. When they log your chromosome, there's and that's what it is. That's why a skin cancer, as aggressive as that can be, if you cut out the skin cancer, it's gone, and you don't expose yourself to the sun anymore. You're fine. With me, they can cut it all out and be like, well, it's still in your fucking genetics.
Yeah, still part of you.
Coloring my hair. Yeah. It's as part of me as being fucking short. So it's a hard one. It's just one of those things.
Have they given you any kind of estimate of how long you have to live, or are they not playing around with that idea?
No doctors play around with it. Some diseases, they have a lot better grasp on it.
Yeah.
More common disease.
Okay.
So say something like high-end testicular cancer, very common, or breast cancer, although both breast and testicular cancer have an over 99% survival rate now. In that 1%, which is still common, they have a very better mapped out how long you've got. And that's where you'll see them go 6 months or whatever. Someone like me, lower end, more rare, they're not willing to give one. A lot of them will go, nah, like they say, you Google it and it'll tell you 5 to 7 years.
Yeah.
But I'm not telling you, it could be 6 months or it could be 60 years. We don't know. We also find people dead that we do an autopsy and they've got the same tumor as you they've had for 80 years.
Yeah, no idea.
Find that. And they've never affected them in their life.
Wow.
It's a hard one. One of those things to just move on with as well.
Yeah.
And it can be hard, but it gives me, and this is the way I live a lot now, and I'm lucky in some ways. I get a checkup scan, a periodic scan every 3 months, just to see what's moving. And every 3 months, I sort of look death in the face of this could be it. And I actually see it as a really good reminder to live your fucking life, because every 3 months I'm hit with this and then positive, and then I've given another 3 months. It's almost like bonus time. A lot of people won't live their life to the extent they need until they have a near-death experience. So this happened to me, and then I realized I need to start living, or I need to tell this person that, or I need to do whatever. Where with me, it's almost like a 3 month, 90-day check.
Right.
And I almost check, have I done what I wanted to do in this 3 months? If I haven't, that's fine. But I'm not too hard on myself, but it's also another near death almost experience of, no, 3 more months. And when I'm given that all clear, yep, you're good for this 3 months. I'll see you in 3 months. It's like, well, let's see what we can do in this 3 months. It's almost a very lucky way to live. Some might think, what the fuck, not fucking lucky. But it's almost a lucky way to live. That 3 month bonus each time of, well, fuck, let's see what you can achieve in this.
Yeah, well, that's a pretty unique experience to be able to have that check from a doctor every 3 months and have that mindset, change or switch every 3 months. Just a reminder, make the next 3 months worth it. And I think that's a
reminder that you're still fucking mortal too. A reminder that you're going to die one day, cunt.
Yeah.
A lot of people need someone to grab them by the fucking head and go, one day you're going to fucking die. Stop being a fuckwit. Stop wasting your time with this shit.
Yeah.
Or start enjoying shit. Don't sit with, and this is something I've become a bit more brutal. I've always been too brutally honest, at least. I'll be like, fuck me. If you're having a coffee with me, sit here at the fucking cafe and let's just fucking dive into this. It's you and me. Anything else could be happening in the fucking world.
Yeah. Let's experience this right now.
Experience this right now, because this is what's important. Not all this other mediocre bullshit that's affecting you. Very few people have very few moments in life that are completely unaffected by external life. It's pretty hard to sit here and think, fuck work and this and that.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. The most important thing I've ever learned is to just fucking get into that moment and enjoy that period. Because if I look too far out, everything looks fucking doom and gloom. Holy fuck, I'm going to die and this and that. But, you know, if you and me sit down in Canada and have a beer, all that matters is that conversation. And you will have better conversations and much, much more meaningful relationships and experiences if you do that. If when you sit down with your missus to have dinner, it's you guys, and you know, whatever day you had at work, whatever happening can wait, and you just experience that, you will live so much more happy each moment to take it in.
Yeah,
because
that's good.
At that moment,
man,
it matter.
That's great advice. And, you know, I take that advice to heart as a young father with 2 little girls. You know, we can get caught up, you know, looking at our phones or whatever it is you're doing, or, you know, you're waiting for that work email to come in, and what a waste of friggin' time, right? You know, sit there and take in the experience you're having with your children, because you might crash your car. I know that might be a bleak way to look at it, but you might crash your car the next morning going to work. And what a friggin' waste, because you were staring at your phone last night instead of having that tea party with your daughter, or instead of, you know, having that sock puppet play, whatever it was that you were too busy for because you were in a Twitter argument with some idiot online that you don't even know over something that doesn't matter.
Yeah,
so that's an awesome takeaway.
There's a theory in the astrophysics world, and it's a part of quantum mechanics. It's a small part of it, and it still remains a theory, but it's actually impossible to prove anything exists that you can't interact with. So the theory sort of goes, I can say the moon exists because I can look with a telescope, but I'm interacting with it via light that bounces back. So say you're sitting in this room with me right now. You and me cannot prove anything exists outside of this room unless we interact with it. So that person on Twitter does not exist. You can't actually prove, physically can't prove he exists without interacting with him on your phone on Twitter. And that's one of the things I like to break things down to. I'd like to break things down to its smallest controllable denominator. So I can control, in this scenario of you and me sitting here having a conversation, everything within this is controllable.
Yeah.
And me talking like this, nothing else has to exist. And this is down to physics formulas say we can't prove anything else exists.
Yeah.
Of course it does, but you can't prove that it does. Just don't interact, or don't give time to interact with those things you don't want to. And I like to break things down with everything. And this started working out, I guess. Break things down into fractions and shit. It makes it a lot easier. So, you know, the start of your basic training to be an infantryman is about 7 months in Australia. We have a very long course. We have a very small army, so we need to have very highly trained guys.
Right.
Compared to countries, so China or even the States.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's fucking hard. And I remember sitting there and thinking, well, this is day 1 of, 180. But then tomorrow is, 1 of 90. And then the next day is 1 of 45. In a fraction, it makes it a lot easier. And I like to think of, well, what stage makes me happy? If I think of the universe, I feel lost. I think of the world, I feel completely uninfluential. I think of Australia, I'm still not influential. But if I just keep breaking that down into that fraction of me and my family in this room having dinner, that makes me happy. And let's forget about all the other stuff. That it's still there. It's still important to influence and have an effect on that and let it affect you, because otherwise you just be a fuckwit. But at those moments, try and take it in. And like you said, with your daughters having a tea party, you will look back in 10 years and they will be your fondest memories. You won't remember that work email because it won't matter in 10 years. You won't remember that email, but you'll remember that moment. And that's why I'm a big one, man, for taking try and take as many photos of things as possible as well. And meaningful photos. So I like to think, I like to almost, it pisses some people off, but even with like my mates, I'm like, hey, let's just take a photo. I'm going to put my phone down after it, but let's just take a photo so it can jog my memory of this in the future.
Yeah.
I'll take one photo, that'll jog, and then it'll remember the moments after that. And the fucking amount of, in this fucking thing here, the camera in a phone is as good as anything was 5 or 10 years ago.
Yeah, crazy.
And we take more photos a day than we've ever taken before, but of food and shit. Just try and log some memories, have some photos, meaningful. Because we take less meaningful moments now. Yeah. It used to be an occasion because you had to wind the film and do shit. It was an occasion to take a photo. Everyone get in, timers on, and it's a physical bit of film going in. Now we take that many, we don't think of it. But you go back and delete your photos of just food and bullshit.
Yeah.
Well, make sure you still take those meaningful memories as well.
Just don't live behind the lens.
Just don't live behind the lens.
Yeah.
But remember to still document some of those times too.
Yeah.
Because it is important. I've known what it's like to lose memory. On chemo, I lost an incredible amount of memory. And that was one of the most upsetting things because I've had some brilliant memories with friends and traveling and Afghanistan and all this. And I lost an unbelievable amount of it. Unbelievable. I forgot friends' names. I had to relearn people's names and shit as well. I remember sitting across the table from one of my best friends, couldn't remember her name for the fucking life of me. Like, not just a minute, I just it wasn't in there anymore. And that was very upsetting for me.
Yeah.
Because I'd lost things that were so precious to me. So that's why I'm a big one of, that's probably going to happen one day. Take your photos and store them securely.
Yeah. I love the idea. That's anyone can take that to heart. And I'm almost at a loss for words. Cause I just love how deep that is. And, it was super positive there until you started telling me about you losing memories of your best friends, which kind of put a damper on it. But definitely,
I put it in a passionate sense, I guess, like that, because it's something that I learned the hard way.
Yeah, for sure.
I hope people think, well, fuck, it hits them. Oh shit. Well, I'll make sure to implement that.
No, it's good. I think that's a good spot for us to start wrapping up. We're almost at 2 hours here, and I mean, it's past 11 o'clock for you at home.
Yeah, it's 11:25.
It's only 9. It's only 10 in the morning for me, but we're getting towards midnight for you. But I've got 3 things to ask you before we wrap up.
Absolutely.
What does going forward look like for you, in any sense?
So in the next 6 months, I will be separating from the Defence Force. The Army still means a lot to me, and I'll be moving across into the civilian side of it and influencing it from that point of view.
Awesome.
As far as what weapons go in, what equipment, that procurement side.
Cool.
As well as I've never spent, we get danger pay in Afghanistan, and I've never spent that money. It's pretty good money we get over there, and I've never spent it. So that's sort of my rainy day fund, and I guess I've had a couple of rainy days.
Cool, yeah.
So I'll be traveling again, as well as traveling with a couple of mates.
Cool.
But that's sort of how that looks going forward. No charity stuff this year. I think people have struggled enough with, especially in Australia, we had the bushfires, floods, and corona. People that don't want to fucking donate more money.
Yeah, fair enough.
And I don't want to ask people. So none of that this year, but they'll be back next. But yeah, a bit of travel, bit of contracting for the Army.
Cool. I mean, you're still an ambassador and an influence for the cause, regardless of if you're actively out, looking for handouts. So I think that's a good attitude to have, and you need to enjoy some of your time as well. The next thing I want to ask you is, how can, as men, can we be more effective? And I mean this in any sense, any way you want to answer that.
I think the best way to be more effective is to try and step away from a lot of influences we have currently of people telling us what's right and wrong. The whole idea behind toxic masculinity is bullshit.
Yes.
I think the two best qualities in men is compassion and vulnerability. And they're both qualities that we don't think of in men, and a lot of people turn away from. But compassion and being vulnerable are the strongest and hardest bits to show as a male. You meet someone who is a fucking hitter. Those people you see down the road with tattoos and on a Harley, they're not hitters. They're not really tough guys.
Mm-hmm.
You meet someone who I met and had a couple of beers with, the Regimental Sergeant Major of the British SBS. So he's been a special boat serviceman, tier 1 operations, SAS for say 30 years, done everything. And he was the most friendly, compassionate, and vulnerable guy I've ever met in my life.
Cool.
And I think they're the two qualities men should try and show, because to show compassion for someone else isn't putting yourself above them. It's putting yourself as equals. But in the same way, you're giving them a hand up. And being vulnerable, that is the hardest thing for men to show. And you can't get over things unless you have some sort of vulnerability. So they're the two ones I'd like to see more in men of my generation, because it's never those compassionate, vulnerable guys that struggle, because they have a cry and they have a whatever, they ask for help and they move forward. It's the guys that are closed off, who are too hard to speak out, that it ends up getting the best of them.
Yeah, that's powerful. I'm so glad you said that, because that's a very unique response, and I think it shows a lot of your experience and a lot of your wisdom saying that. So I appreciate that a lot. The last thing I want to ask you, Willy, is where can people find you? Where do you want them to follow you? And where can they look for you online?
Yeah, so you can swipe right to me on Tinder. Nah. The best way for me, as far as socials, is willy.beatingcancer, just Willy Beating Cancer on Instagram. Mm-hmm. There's a few fake accounts, but you'll see on the blue tick, that's me.
Yeah, I've seen that. It's funny.
And the big one I like to put on there is I reply to every message or comment too. So if you really want to know something, send me a message. Like, by all means, send me a message and I will get back to you.
Yeah.
As well. Yeah. Or if you want to hear more of my voice, if you YouTube search Willy Beating Cancer, you'll find that too. And that's got fucking hundreds of hours of podcasting with me and other guys, as well as I vlog sort of travels I go through and experiences as we go, as well as a lot of talks about going through the stages of diagnosis and chemo at the time. And if you can't find something, message me and I'll send it to you. So if it's like, well, I'm at the stage of finishing chemo or starting or whatever, I've got all that logged, so I can all send it across so you can help. But yeah, Willy Beating Cancer pretty much anywhere. And I'll shoot back to wherever I try and do the best I can.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I appreciate this conversation. I usually keep my interviews about an hour long, but I didn't want to stop talking with you on this one. So we pushed it double the length. So if right. Yeah, I just appreciate you taking the time, man. And I know it's exhausting. I know you live a busy life. So taking this time in your late evening too, and staying up till almost midnight for me, I appreciate it, brother.
No, mate, fucking the pleasure's all mine. It's absolutely fine by me. I'm happy to do it.
Yeah, I hope you enjoy your travel, and I hope you spend your money, I would say wisely, but I mean wisely as in spend it the way you want to spend it.
Yeah, that always has been spent that way.
Good. All right, Willy, thank you so much for coming on, man. I appreciate you. I'm going to keep a close eye on your YouTube channel and your Instagram and stuff, because your journey is incredible. So it's a blast to follow. You're a hoot of a guy. You're so open and honest, and you're so real, which is something that I appreciate a lot. So thank you so much for coming on, man. And I hope you enjoy your night.
Thanks, man. You too.
Okay, Willy.
See you, bro.
Thank you for listening. Remember to visit our website at www.menofbronze.ca. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and share the show with your friends and family. This was the Men of Bronze podcast. Be worth remembering.